most people come into, if it's alternative medicine, functional medicine, once they've received a diagnosis, right? And this is often a little too late, right? I mean, it's amazing that your friend was able to do that. And we do have so many more advanced tools now. But for kind of like the average person, it's a much bigger problem right after you've already been diagnosed with a disease or something that's, to the traditional model incurable. And sadly, that's the big motivation that people have to even look into their health, right? So when we're looking at longevity, we're hoping that people are going to jump in and start seeing what are some of these possible hiccups or barriers that are down the pipeline in my future, so that we can get a handle on it now so they don't have to happen, right? So I think that's what's hard is so many people, they come to us a little late, right? Longevity isn't that way. Like people are hoping for this amazing, beautiful lifestyle. And because we're testing, we get to see what is there so you can address it now and get it out of the way.
What if aging isn't about slowing down, but leveling up? I'm Dr. Isaac Jones. This is the Longevity Leaders Podcast. Welcome back to the Longevity Leaders Podcast. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm here with my amazing host, Dr. Ashley Beckman. Dr. Rudy Mueller's out, unfortunately. Prayers going out to him. He's with his family going through some transition, I guess you could say, of some people that he loves. So Dr. Ashley, there's so much that we could talk about today, but I think it's really important to get into a model for longevity that the consumers of this world can get behind and get excited about, and something that doctors can use in their practices to utilize as a framework to get great results for their patients. What do you want to, how do you want to kind of intro the holistic longevity model? Maybe share a little bit of like some of the things that you do for your patients to optimize their health and longevity.
Sure. So with my clients, I'm always looking, right? We always start with foundations. And again, these are the things that everyone says they have under control, but they usually don't, or there's something quite significant in their day-to-day practice that is really throwing off their health, right? So again, this is clean food, clean air, clean water, sleep, stress reduction, movement, and then maybe some sort of meditation or something that goes along with reducing their stress. And again, we have to make sure these are really dialed in. And then we get to move on to some of the fun things, right? Some of our little gadgets and things that we can implement sometimes on a few times a week up to daily to really start optimizing our health. But another big piece of this is looking at our overall toxic load. So I'm always looking at tests and labs, if possible, with my clients for gut health, toxins, and then again, like looking at traditional blood work, but through kind of a functional ranges and things like that. So optimal areas, because as we've spoken about before, some of these seemingly very basic nutritional deficiencies can create very large problems for us, right? So some things are very simple, and then other things just take a lot more fine tuning and putting together these either protocols and lifestyle habits for ourselves and our clients.
Oh my gosh, totally. I love that you talked about the foundations. That's something that we discussed in our last episode, and it's essential. But I want to get into this model of this framework called the holistic longevity model that I had put together with your help, Dr. Ashley, Dr. Rudy's help, and and again, it's a model that just works, and it's a model that would stand the test of time 100 years from now, as a way for people to see a bright future with longevity. And I will just say before we get into this, it's important to know that this is a journey, and it's not something that is like, give me the shot for longevity, right?
Yeah.
Like I just watched
one supplement.
Go ahead.
The one supplement. It just doesn't.
Yeah, the one supplement, exactly. I just watched The Way of Water with the kids over the last week on our vacation, and they were like sucking this juice out of this whale's brain because it, is the cure to aging for humanity, and they're making all this money out of it. The reality is, I do think there are things like that will come down the pipeline. Maybe not the cure to longevity, but or aging, but the just some unbelievable technologies that we're privy to that will literally completely revolutionize the industry. And if you're listening on this podcast, the Longevity Leaders podcast, you're gonna probably be getting access to the most cutting edge information, maybe first before anyone else. But we're connected with a lot of universities and scientists and people that are creating breakthroughs in longevity science and regenerative medicine and whatnot. But getting back to this model is that we need to be committed to the journey of longevity.
Yeah.
There's a psychology that we need to start with that is the commitment to the journey and commitment to discipline and So if you're just not going to commit and be disciplined to living a lifestyle that is, healthy, you don't need to be perfect, but healthy and integrating these longevity strategies and being growth minded, then ultimately you're going to leave longevity in the dust. And you could literally leave another 10, 20, 30, 40, potentially 50 or 100 years of good life because you're just not open to making any changes, right? I had a guy come up to me, he's like, Isaac, if you think I'm going to eat that kale or whatever it was that was in front of me, he's like, you can forget it. He's like, I'd rather die,
Yeah. We've heard that so many times, right? If you're going to take this away from me, I don't want it to, like, I don't want to change my lifestyle, right? This is one of the biggest barriers to change. But a lot of people have like a daily habit, right? That kind of derails their longevity plan. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. No, I'm joking, by the way. I don't drink, so
Yeah. Okay.
but I'm just saying, like, a listener listening to this is like, wait a minute, what about the blue zones? They all like, have wine with meals, etc. But you're right, and again, we'll get into all the nuances on this show in the future, but in that respect, it's like, this person said that, and what was really interesting is, I'm at a breakfast place with my kids over the weekend. I just took them out, gave my wife a little break to just spend some time by herself. And I realized just how incredible it is to have 4 children. Like, I'm pulling my hair out. It's just like, wow, this is intense. But I'm giving my wife a little break. I'm at this restaurant. The owner of the restaurant, who I'm friends with, it's this organic, awesome, kind of crunchy restaurant, but like, all the higher end people in my area love to go to it. They designed it beautifully. And, the owner came to me and she said, Isaac, she goes, I had an aneurysm. Oh. And I really I lost a lot, a lot of time. Like it scared me. Like, so she was just opening up about it.
Yeah.
And then she said something that hit me. And she said, she's like, Isaac, she's like, I would walk into this restaurant and I would do my team meetings and I'll be like, don't do this or else you're going to give me an aneurysm. Or else you're going to give me an aneurysm or else you're going to give me. She's like, I would say that on a regular basis. So I just think that our identity, the words that we use, the thoughts that we think are the core kind of element, our mindset of, moving into this journey of longevity.
Yeah.
And so anything you want to add to that or take away?
Sure, a couple things. Well, first I'll touch on the wine because pretty much the other thing that's great is how we always have options and we give healthier alternatives to our clients, right? So
Yes.
That's one thing that I think is great for the people who don't want to eliminate things. There's usually always better choices because there are people going back to nature and how things used to be made, and it is healthier. So that's one thing that is good. Secondly, what I did want to add is, we've worked together a long time, and probably the most transformative event, or it was a weekend, maybe we were in Mexico for a retreat, was the focus on our limiting beliefs, right? And the growth mindset. And again,
Yes.
just how powerful all of our words are every day. So these things that just keep circulating in someone's thought process. And this goes hand in hand how people feel about their health, because they identify with the diagnosis and then they own it, right? They say, my fibromyalgia, my Lyme, whatever, my migraines. Like, it's in your psyche when you keep repeating it. But it's the same
Yeah.
too when people, they have to know that they're either going to get better or that this beautiful life is available to them, right? That's full of like energy and vibrancy and thriving. And if people are so caught up in what they've been diagnosed with, or what their parents have, and they assume that they're going to get it, it's so limiting to them. And so again, that
Mm,
growth mindset is a critical piece of longevity, and just
yeah.
all of the meaning and weight of words if it's something that's negative or something that you're fearing for your future.
If you're a medical doctor, nurse practitioner, chiropractor, or other health expert that's stuck in a broken system, there's a better way. The Freedom webinar shows you a proven 5-step system to build a 7-figure virtual health practice, or how to modernize your current brick and mortar practice without the burnout. Learn to create high-ticket programs, automated income, residual revenue, and attract clients ready to work with you. Book your $1 million strategy session today by clicking the link in the description. And just, extracting one of the things you shared, which was growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Carol Dweck wrote a book called Mindset. She's a researcher at Stanford University, and she found that, the people that have fixed mindset, they make less money, they have more diseases, they, are dealing with more, challenges. They have a way of being that unfortunately is specific to always looking at the negative, always thinking that things are going to, be bad. I can't grow. I can't optimize. They can do that, but I can't. When they fail, they take that as a personal, they take that on personally and let that impact their identity. Whereas growth-minded people, they're oriented neurologically differently. And you can change from being a fixed-minded individual to a growth-minded individual simply by challenging your beliefs and challenging your thought patterns and thinking about your thinking, right? And so when I started learning about this concept of being in a state of observation of my thoughts, and being in a place where I think about my thinking on a regular basis, and I catch, each thought, there's a scripture out there that says you should hold every thought captive, which is like, oh yeah, who's going to do that? But it's a practice that I've, gone into, and it's very powerful. And it's like, man, I thought very poorly about this person. I'm going to change the way I look at this person and start thinking about, a different way of viewing them or whatever. That's more powerful, in maybe a close relationship that I have or whatever. And so you can shift from fixed to growth, and growth mindset is somebody that, they're like, look, the cup is half empty, or excuse me, half full. I can do whatever I put my mind to. If I fail, that's an opportunity for me to learn and to grow. If somebody else is successful, that just is more evidence that I can be successful as well. If I, focus on something long enough, that I will achieve it, even if it takes me longer than other people. So there's this whole like conversation in the personal growth space of talent's not enough, because you've got all these talented people that fail in basketball and football and ballet and all this other stuff. Whereas the people that are focused on executing and committing to the process and practicing, etc., they always rise to the top above the people that may be more genetically talented than they are, because they end up developing, an even better, powerful kind of neural net of success. So That is huge. It's foundational.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually is a really big part of the holistic longevity model that I'm going to get into here right now. So I'm just going to share my screen. And Dr. Ashley, you and I love to talk about how the quality of your life is based really on the quality of questions that you ask yourself, because it determines the quality of the answers that you end up getting. And so we end up, when we ask powerful questions, we get powerful answers. This actually reigns true in longevity. So in longevity, we like to ask questions that are powerful.
Yep.
Like, what is my maximum potential? And we don't get attached to the answer of it is NAD suppositories. I'll just keep bringing that up in this episode or on future episodes. But it's like, it's like, okay, it is this and it is that, but it's also this. And there's new research out that's showing, another really amazing breakthrough. So it's living inside of the question of what can our maximum potential be. I have a goal in 5 years from now to have a pace of aging score, which is every year that passes, how essentially old or how many years biologically are you aging every year that chronological year that passes. And most people are aging faster. So a chronological year will be 1. And then biologically, if you look at their methylation biomarkers and all of that, they're aging at 1.3 or 1.5, right?
Yeah.
And so for me, I'm way below that, right? I'm like, 0.72, then I'm 0.68. And I'm like, I'm dropping, I'm getting better and better. And I have a goal in 5 years to be at 0.25, and the scale only goes down to 0.5.
Yeah.
So,
Break
one
the
of the
scale.
things yeah, I'm like, I want to break the scale.
Yeah.
Exactly. I want to break the scale. But who knows? Like, can you do it? Maybe, maybe not. But my goal is to get down to, 0.25 my Dunedin pace score. And so, what's occurring for you around, this question? What is your maximum potential? And then living inside of the other questions as well, which are, how can we make 100 the new 30? How do we live well beyond 120? Anything to share there?
Sure. Yeah. And, I would share as well that those tests that we've done, right, it's fascinating. And because it breaks it down in different areas, it also shows you, something that maybe the hormones are making you age faster, but your cardiovascular is way below. Like, it's amazing all the tools that we have at our disposal. It's so fine tuned now what we can look at and how we can shift. And again, there's just so much to look at. I think too, we touch on this a little bit. Men and women are quite different, right? And we have different stress loads, but also individually, people have stress can impact them in such a different way.
Yes.
And so what I've seen is patterns of, I can have the food dialed in, the sleep, exercise or whatever it might be. But when we have so much stress, it pulls those markers down, right? And it's not helping. So there's just so much that has to be addressed. And
Yes.
again, living well beyond 120, again, as coming from a Chinese medicine perspective and practitioner, their goal is to live as long as possible, but very robust, healthy lives, not in a wheelchair, not able to do things, so you have
Yes.
all these amazing herbs and these practices to conserve your chi and your energy. And so I do look through that lens, and you can see, am I living in alignment with that type of life that's going to allow me to live well beyond 120? Or am I burning through all my reserves, right? A lot of us are burning through reserves at a much faster rate than what we can replenish
Interesting.
them.
Very interesting. Yeah, and you're talking about chi and energy, and there's a lot of people that end up like burning their energy over stress. They're like you said around mindset is like, people that are anxious all the time are
Yeah.
thinking about the future.
Yeah.
People that are depressed are thinking about the past. They're never living necessarily in the present moment.
Hmm.
There's some people that say, hey, if men have too many orgasms, you're burning through your chi, you're going to
Right.
live a lot less. Women, other people are saying, hey, if women have more orgasms, they're going to live a lot longer, right? By the way, what do you think about that?
Well, yeah. So for the men, it is a depletion of your jing, which is called your vital essence. It's like actually things that are supposed to be conserved, not expended all the time.
Uh-huh.
So, but
Uh-huh.
yeah, and again, for women, women in that process are receiving, and we're getting chi from men, if that's, the dynamic there. So, yeah, for us, it's like nourishing and chi giving, and for you guys, it is depleting. So, an
Interesting.
interesting balance. But at the same time, men in general have more chi, vibrance, energy that they can get rid of. Women, we have kids. If we nurse, like we're making food, right, for our children, we give away half of our chi with every child. So
Wow.
again, even having less kids is more conserving for your energy in the Chinese theory. And so we just have so much, our systems are quite different, but at the same
You know,
time, there's a lot of overlap.
interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So if women have like 20 kids, it's probably going to deplete their energy, right?
Well, but
Like,
even,
it,
if you're, you see people have a robust constitution, right? Some women have so much energy, vitality, and they are just constitutionally more energetic, and there's just a lot more to work with, right? Some people who are
yeah.
already deficient, tired, your chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia people, right? Always anemic, tired, low thyroid. Them having four kids is usually pretty disastrous, right? There's so much
Yeah.
work that needs to be done to replenish that. Doesn't mean there
Mm,
aren't ways, but again, our lifestyles are not allowing this to happen, right? They used to have something called 40 days after birth. The woman was taken care of, all the food was made, the right food for replenishing all of your chi. And so practices kind of gone away from that, and we just, there should be a big focus on the family and the unit and the connection, like we were speaking about.
mm,
That's a
yeah,
huge
that's
component too of how do we, if we want to live in this longer life with beautiful people around us, like we want them with us, right? So if we're the only ones doing the longevity, like we need to have our kids and our spouse and people that we care about also on this path.
yes. Oh my gosh, absolutely. No, that's huge. So these are great topics, and we'll get into more detail around sex. We'll get more detail around peptides, exosomes, all of that in the future. I just want to share with you now the holistic longevity model. So this model we developed because there needs to be a model for healthcare and longevity that's powerful. And so, um, you know, at the core here, what you're seeing is ultimately like very, very important to look at, right? The core is you getting data and information about the person and about yourself,
Yeah.
right? So it allows from you to go from guessing to knowing as the foundation for where you're at and how you can live a long, healthy, vital life. And so data is through lab testing, it's through urine analysis, it's through hair analysis, it's through blood analysis, it's through stool analysis, through saliva tests, it's through cheek swabs and genetic analysis, etc. And then you've got lifestyle. It's like, what is your current lifestyle? Are you following Force, which is the Blue Zone's kind of lifestyle habits? What's your mindset like? Like if somebody already believes that they're going to die at 70, and they're going to live a lifestyle that aligns with that belief. But if you have a mindset like I believe I'm going to live to 156, and that's my goal is to live to 156, your mindset is set on that, and then you're going to start doing things and thinking about things that are like, okay, what can I do to align with that belief and that identity of me being somebody that lives to 156, right? And we'll do an exercise on this podcast in the future that'll help you guys extend your life quite dramatically. Just from a psychological perspective, it's very powerful. But it's something that I think is really essential is in the core elements, the core foundation. It helps you go from guessing to knowing. You get the data, you get the person's lifestyle mindset, you get their kind of whether they're integrating some of the blue zone stuff. And then it gives you an understanding of, okay, where are they? But the reality is if you don't get data, you can't customize. You cannot customize. And if we want to build a program or a process of longevity for you, we have to be able to get that data to customize. Would you say anything else about this this element, Ashley?
No, I mean, again, some people can think of what the things that they're doing are making a certain impact, but without the testing and the data and the tracking, right? Even just CGM, for example, right? People think whatever they're doing is healthy. You just need day-to-day data, or again, these specialty labs and testing to see, am I actually where I think I am, or is this just, am I doing all these tools and taking all these supplements, but we want to know, is it actually working, and what is the impact? And some of that impact we get to see on a day-to-day basis, which is just really vital information.
Absolutely. Yeah. And once you have that data, then you can customize. Mm-hmm. And this is the process of longevity. You go into this phase of optimization where you go from average or downgraded to upgraded. And so you may be having symptoms, you may have a disease or disorder. One of my friends earlier this year, he said, "Hey, Isaac, I've got stage 4 cancer." And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to hear this." And he's like, "I've only been given like a few months to live." I think it was 6 months to live. And he, this guy, Ashley. And so I was just like, I would not accept that diagnosis. Like I would reject that. And we're going to do some things that would help you optimize your health, vitality, et cetera. And he's like, he went out and got some great advice from various people. But essentially he went and reversed that cancer within just a few months. And, you can follow him on Instagram as Pete Sulak. And it's really, really cool that the transformation. But again, he got data, he found out what was going on. He then customized a process to help him just with the disease state that he was in. And he reversed the stage 4 cancer. It was brain cancer in a very, very short period of time. And I think it was the size of either a tennis ball or a what is it?
Grapefruit.
A grapefruit. I think it was the size of a grapefruit. And the crazy thing about that is that the only symptom that he had was that he wasn't able to, he woke up before Christmas of last year and he wasn't able to speak. Mm-hmm. And he was like, what the heck's going on? That's when he went to the doctor's office because the tumor had grown so big that it was like pushing in on his ability to speak. So anyways, I really do believe that if we have a mindset of healing, of health, of optimization, of longevity, and this guy had a big purpose. Like he had a big purpose. Like I want to serve my family. I want to serve the world. That always helps. So optimize, you go from average or downgraded to upgraded, and you have to restore, deficiencies of micronutrients, deficiencies of macronutrients. A lot of us have micronutrient deficiencies. We have issues with our diet. We have issues with our organ systems, like our kidney, our liver, our spleen, or whatever it might be. So we want to upgrade the health of those elements. And then we can start to, after you build up your detoxification pathways, we talked about this in the last episode, is the foundation for longevity, is like addressing a lot of the challenges that we're seeing in today's day and age. Then you can move on to remove. So when you restore the pathways of the body and the drainage pathways, et cetera, then you can move on to removing the factors that are the foundational issues that drive chronic inflammation and oxidative stress in the cells in the body, and then drive the acceleration of all the hallmarks of aging, which we'll talk about in a future episode. So this is, this is challenging. It's important to look at. And after you optimize and you kind of upgrade your body, you can then go into enhance. But before I get into enhance, if you don't optimize, if you don't address the foundation, you can't increase your health span. How can you increase your quality of life without addressing your the factors that are driving disease formation in your body? You can't. So this is where you can really increase your health span. Anything you want to add, take away from this, Dr. Ashley?
A couple things of what you mentioned too is, most people come into, if it's alternative medicine, functional medicine, once they've received a diagnosis, right? And this is often
Yeah,
a little too late, right? I mean, it's amazing that your friend was able to do that, and we do have so many more advanced tools now. But for kind of like the average person, it's a much bigger problem right after you've already been diagnosed with a disease or something that's, to the traditional model, incurable. And sadly, that's the big motivation that people have to even look into their health, right? So when we're
yeah,
looking at longevity, we're hoping that people are going to jump in and start seeing what are some of these possible hiccups or barriers that are down the pipeline in my future, so that we can get a handle on it now so they don't have to happen, right? So I
I
think
love
that's
it.
what's hard, is so many people, they come to us a little late, right? Longevity isn't that way. Like, people are hoping for this amazing, beautiful lifestyle, and because we're testing, we get to see what is there so you can address it now and get it out of the way. Because
You know what? I love that. And I this model works for somebody that's about to die in a few months. But like you said, we want people to ultimately be coming to us. Ultimately, like a lot of my patients, a lot of them were asymptomatic.
yeah,
A lot of my health participants, they were asymptomatic. They came to me because they're like, you know what? I need to get the data. I need to understand what's going on in my body. I want you to help to customize a system, a strategy, a program that will help upgrade my life. And I would just get these rock star women and men that would work with me. And then it was so cool because we got to see pre and post lab testing after they went through optimize and enhance,
mm-hmm,
that we would post test. And then it became, healthcare became a game. And this is where I think the gamification of longevity comes in, where when you pre and post lab tests, you see, oh my gosh, I've just decreased my toxic burden by 50%
yeah,
in the last 6 months. I've just overcome 100% of my micronutrient deficiencies. I just got rid of, dozens of my, IgG immunoglobulin responses that were creating chronic, transitory inflammation in my body or whatever. It's like, whoa, you can start seeing this is good. Like, we're
yeah,
making really great progress, right?
yeah. Yeah, it's amazing too. Some of the shifts, some of these things that people really fear, like prediabetes and things like that, those are easy changes within a couple months, right? There's so
Mm-hmm.
much we can do. The toxins take a little bit more time, right? But at the same time, what's amazing is we track it, you see improvements, and then that's when really this optimization and enhancing flourishes, right? And then you can really kind of be who you were meant to be without this kind of like toxic burden of what our world has kind of dragged down in your system. And you really get to flourish
Exactly.
and shine and kind of do what your mission is on this planet.
So good. I love that. Yeah, and everyone, I believe, is has got a calling and a
Yeah.
purpose that's divine, and it's something that this model is going to help you, really maximize. So here's the thing: is that a lot of people, they'll go into their functional medicine doctor, they'll go into like a health program, or they'll optimize their health, and then they'll drop back into where they were before in a month or two. Not the way that we want to do it. The opposite is true, is that we want people to move into enhance. And so you optimize, you upgrade, you don't then go back into your old ways. You don't then integrate all these bad habits again and all of that. You move into enhance. Enhance is where you continue to upgrade. I call it, you go from upgraded to superhuman.
Yeah.
And superhuman is above human. Super means above human. And I love that definition, is because, to be above just the regular kind of humanness of us is just like the way that everyone else is. No, you don't need to be that way. You can be different. You can make different decisions. You can adopt a different identity, a different belief system. And this is where you play in these different testing technologies, tools that are going to continue to get better and better and better every year, every month that passes. And then you pull these 100+ longevity levers. There's so many different longevity levers, but this becomes the journey. And it's so fun because you can rejuvenate your skin, you can rejuvenate your hair, your nails, your organs, your tissues. And this is where you really make a big impact in increasing your lifespan. Because if you don't go into focusing on enhancing and adopting that new identity and saying, hey, I'm in this for the long run, and you don't create fun out of this longevity journey, you really don't increase health span. And my term for this is optimal living. So when this is like kind of, this is the holistic longevity model, but if you stick with this, you access optimal living, which is not just the physical, but the spiritual, mental, emotional, psychological, etc., elements of humanity, right? Body, mind, and soul. And it is where you are optimizing yourself at a high level. And my goal is to continue to build a tribe of people that are doing this and supporting each other in all these different communities, in doctors' offices, in different communities around the world, as well as just this online community that we have of people all over the world that are encouraged and committed to doing this. Anything to share about this enhanced section here?
Yeah, mostly again that this is, people are so kind of used to a model or a framework of, oh, is this a 6-week cleanse? How much can I do in this short period that's, quick and fast? But this is really about a longevity lifestyle. This is something that you're
Yes.
going to be implementing for many years. It doesn't mean you have to always be testing and doing this, but, this is kind of like your blueprint for the rest of your life to just optimize our time here and then enhance it and just really have a much upgraded quality of life that you can really enjoy.
Yes. And again, you don't have to be perfect, like you said. This model is a commitment to the rest of your life, and it's fun. It is so fun. It is like, it's not boring. It's not like, oh man, this is not good for me or whatever. Man, it is really fun. So, this has been really fun to just even get into today with you, Dr. Ashley. The holistic longevity model, the mindset of excellence, getting out of fixed mindset into growth mindset, committing to getting data, getting information, customizing it, a system, a program, a way of being, a lifestyle that is going to help you maximize your health, and then enhancing that upgrade that you've made to elevate to superhuman for the rest of your life, right?
Yeah.
And any last words of encouragement to really encourage them to adopt a long-term sustainable model of living versus just a short-term attainable, I'm doing these things, I went to this clinic, I went to this resort for a week or whatever?
Yeah, I think the main thing too is, again, we sometimes forget the impact that we have. So even if one person is doing this within your family, it ripples out. A lot of us are making the choices kind of for the whole family. So you're helping your kids, your spouse, and then also your outer family as well. I'm always amazed at feedback of people, that we talk to, and they're like, I remember this thing that you talked about. And so we never know the impact, but when it's like this and you're sharing information that is in the longevity space, it really can help so many people. And I think it's just very important because most people are stuck in this more disease forward, fixed mindset. Oh, the world, there's so much here that's not good and it's not going to get better. And we have a lot of control. And again, we just want to make sure and spread our impact as much as we can. And it does start with ourselves, our family, and then it can spread. So, we have a lot of information out here and things are always changing, but it's very exciting.
Absolutely. Dr. Ashley, thank you. This was fun. Really, really cool talking about all of this with you. And yeah, we'll keep it going. Appreciate you, Dr. Ashley.
Thanks for listening to the Longevity Leaders Podcast. Our Longevity Leaders community is on mission to transform 100 million lives by 2040. If you enjoyed this show, please share this with somebody that you know, especially another doctor or physician, but also click that follow button. Until next time, stay strong and live long.